19. Do you want me to start with number 1, or do you guys want to tell me which ones you want to do? Start with number 1. Okay. Part of this also, you guys, you know what the 19 questions on the test look like. They're these. Okay? Almost identical. All right? So it says, so it's going to have kind of the same ideas. If it's multiple choice here, it's likely multiple choice there. It's going to mix them together. Okay? So sometimes you'll have that multiple response question, and then you'll have a multiple choice, and then you'll have an open-ended one where you've got to type into it. Okay? And if we get a chance, I'm hoping to be able to show you the typing in part, which didn't quite set up yet. All right, which of the following are factors of this? So basically that's saying factor this thing and see if we can find some factors of it. What's the greatest common factor? 4. What's left behind?
X squared
minus what? 16. Good. And you guys should be following along on the ones you have written down. Okay, if you don't have them written down, I highly recommend you write this down right now and you get some homework points. Okay? All right, what kind of factoring is this?
Square.
Difference of squares. Good. So it's the square root of x squared. X. Square root of 16.
4.
Make 1a
Positive.
and 1a. Okay, so looking at our answer choices, it looks like I have the x minus 4. I also have the x plus 4. So what would my answer be? E, the last one, right? And you guys, when we're talking about these, you can think of it as A, B, C, D, E. Okay? On online assessments, they don't always have the letter choices, right? Okay, looking at this one, write the expression as a complex number in standard form. What are we going to do with this negative first? Distribute it. So negative 3 plus 2i minus 4 minus 5i. So it's negative 3 and negative 4.
Negative 7.
Good. 2i minus 5i.
Negative 3i.
3i.
All right, so it's looking like answer choice A, right?
Yeah.
All right. Choose how many? 3. Sometimes it's going to tell you, sometimes it's going to be all. When it comes to smarter balance, if you don't have the 3 correct ones, you don't get any points on it. On our test, we give you partial credit. So if you get 2 out of the 3, you'll get some partial points back on this. Okay, so we don't just slam you on these problems. All right, first thing you look for is the greatest common factor. What's the greatest common factor?
X to the 4th power.
X to the 4th, okay. What's left behind?
X to the 3rd power cubed.
Minus what?
343.
343. All right. So it's looking like I definitely have x to the 4th, right?
Yes.
All right, so A is an answer choice. What kind of factoring is this thing that's left behind?
The squared.
Complex.
How many terms are there?
3.
3.
2. So are they squares or cubes?
Cubed.
Cubes. All right, so the first thing I do is put in my signs. What's the sign pattern?
Minus plus plus.
Good. And then cubed root of x cubed?
X.
Cubed root of 343?
7.
7. Okay, then we're going to square this first part we get.
X squared.
Square the back part we get.
7.
49.
49. And then ignore the middle, or ignore the sign. The middle is... All right, so let's see. What else do we get here? It looks like C is also an answer. What else? F is also an answer. Okay, so 3. If you double check these words, go back and look. Do I have the 3 I wanted? Yeah, or at least have 3, right? Don't at least guess on 3. I don't want you guessing, but all right. How many are we supposed to pick this time? All that apply. That means there could be 1, there could be 2, there could be 4, right? So it could be all of them. So let's see what happens with this. What kind of factoring are we going to do?
Magic X.
Magic X. Good. 2 numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to 5.
3 minus 3 negative 8.
8 and 3. Okay.
Negative 3.
Oh, negative 3. Do I need a box?
Yeah.
No.
No, because there's not a leading coefficient. So we have x plus 8 times x minus 3 equals 0. So we're going to use good old zero product property. Set them both equal to 0. What are we going to do without 8?
Subtract it.
Subtract it. And what are we going to do with the 3?
Add it.
Add it. Okay, so this is B and C would be the answers there. All right, we good with 4?
Yeah.
All right. Which of the following are factors? Again, we're choosing all that apply. And so they might be there, they might not. Do we have a greatest common factor?
Yes.
2c squared.
2 squared. 2c squared.
So we know that that's one of our choices, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's left behind?
C squared minus 5c minus like number 36.
36. Everybody okay with what Lauren said so far?
Yep.
All right, what do we need to do from here?
Magic X.
Magic X. So two numbers that multiply to negative 36 and add to negative 5.
-9 and 4.
Do I need a box?
Yeah.
No.
Nope, no leading coefficient in front of this term right here. I dropped down the 2c squared, and we're left behind with c minus 9, c plus 4. Are those choices there?
Yeah.
One, D, and it looks like A, right? And again, when you're doing these, when you're having to type in these ones in, just type the letters in. They don't have to be in caps. And don't put any spaces, don't put any commas. Just type the letters in. And that'll get it scored the quickest. I'll go back and double check things in case you mess that up. Okay, you'll get your points, but for ease of grading, we're just going to leave no spaces. Okay? It doesn't have to be in that order. I have it set up so it would do that order too, and most of the orders. Okay, we got to factor this one. This one you are going to have to type in. I think you had to type it in there. Okay, so we have to use the funky little caret button. How many terms are there this time? 4 terms. So we're going to factor by what? Grouping. So what are we going to take out of the first group?
X squared.
Good. What's left behind?
3x minus 2.
X minus 2.
Good. What are we going to take out of the second group?
2.
2. What's left behind?
3x minus
Good. So what's the ugly greatest common factor?
2. 3x minus 2.
Right? And we bring it out front. How many times do we write it down? 1 time, right? I should be hearing everybody. Most of you had it done. You should be participating with this and reviewing. What's left behind?
X squared plus 2.
Good. And it doesn't matter what order you write this in. Just make sure when you type this, you have x caret 2 plus 2, right? And use the parentheses there. When you have an expression like that, I should see parentheses around it when you're trying to type it in. Okay? All right. We are supposed to solve by completing the square. This one will be a short answer question on the test, and if we have some time at the end here, I'll set one up for you real quick, and so you can see how to type in with the equation editor. If not, I'll show you on mine here. Notice the 8's already shoved over to the other side. Okay, so I don't really need to worry about the third thing being moved, but I do need to worry about that leading coefficient. What are we supposed to do with it?
Divide the 4 by each side.
Divide the negative 4 over. So you've got x squared plus what? 6x. I'm going to put my blanks in. Negative 4 and negative 8.
2.
I'm sorry. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 is 2. I like the answer. I said it wrong. All right, so now we're setting up for our cheating factoring. This is the one question. If you don't do this by completing the square, am I going to give you any points on it?
No.
No, you have to show me by completing the square. Okay? What are we going to do with this 6?
Divided by 2.
Divide by 2.
What do we get?
3.
3. What do we do with the 3?
Square it.
What do we get?
9.
9. 2 plus 9 is
10 and 11.
11. How do we undo the square?
By doing it by doing the by
Square root. What do we put in front of the 11? Plus or minus. Good. So x plus 3 equals plus or minus square root of 11. How do I move this 3? Subtract it. And the way I have you put it in tomorrow, you're going to use the equation editor on it. So I'm going to hopefully we'll have a minute or two at the end and I can show you that. Okay? All right, we good with 7?
Yeah.
Everybody besides Lauren? Yeah? Okay. What's wrong? It's going to be set up differently tomorrow. Typing it in on there, because they wouldn't let me give you the right kind of problem, I would do plus minus SQRT. Right? So I would type in negative 3 plus minus SQRT 11. Okay? Now, am I grading the little practice test on there? No, it was for you. Okay? All right, which of the following is a factor? So what kind of factoring do I have to do?
Magic X.
Notice, am I going to have more than one answer choice?
Yeah.
No, they're bubbles, right? Bubbles only has one. Notice it says a factor, not all the factors. Okay, so only one of those is going to be right. All right, so two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to negative 13.
Negative 12 and negative 1.
Good. Do we need a box?
No.
Yes.
Why?
Because there's leading coefficient.
Leading coefficient. Again, this is the soundtrack that should be playing in your mind while you're taking the test. All right, turn on the Ballard track. All right. So we've got the negative 12x and the negative x. What times what is 3? 3 and 1. Can the 3 go on the top, or does it have to go on the side? Side, because it divides the 12x. How many times does 3x divide negative 12x?
Negative 4.
Good. How many times does 1x divide negative x?
Negative 1.
Negative 1 times negative 4 is? So I have x minus 4 times 3x minus 1. Which of those appears? Yeah, the 3x minus 1 appears. The x minus 4 does not. So this one is only one answer. So make sure you're reading the question carefully. Okay. You guys, you should use the entire class period. If you finish early, you need to go back and double check. Don't hit I'm finished on the test if you have extra time. Okay? Always go back and make sure you've read the questions. All right, which of the following values are solutions to this equation? Select how many? 2 that apply. All right, so we need to make sure we're finding 2. There are a couple of ways we could do this. We could use the quadratic formula, or we could use completing the square. What do you guys want to do? Okay, so I heard both. It's kind of set up for completing the square, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd probably just go with the... Normally I wouldn't do completing the square. I would probably go quadratic formula, but it's set up for completing the square, so I'm going to go there. All right, I'm going to set up my cheating factoring. What are we going to do with that negative 4?
Divided by 2.
Divide it by 2. Then we have to do what to it? Square it, we get
4.
4 to both sides. All right, negative 8 and positive 4 is?
Negative 4.
How do we undo this squared?
Square root.
Square root. What do we write in front?
Plus.
Plus or minus. We've got x minus 2 equals plus or minus. When we see a negative under a radical, what do we do?
Pluck the I out.
Pluck the I out, and then square root of 4 is?
2.
2. How do I move that 2 to the other side? Add it. So 2 plus or minus 2i. So what are the two correct answers?
A and B.
Okay. Again, right here, if you look at it right there, should I be able to pick what my two correct answers are? I don't need to finish the problem, okay? And on something like this, yeah, I'm going to give you points for your reasonable work. I'm probably not going to go back and do a ton of partial credit because you're just going to pick answers, right? So if you're running out of time, there's a way to save it, okay? Is by noticing that, right, recognizing that right here, and not finishing the problem, okay? All right. How many are we supposed to do on this one? 3. This is an interesting question, okay, the way they phrase it. Which of the following expressions have a sum of this? This is the answer, okay? So what I would probably go do, you have to really go through and do all of them. How many are we going to stop at? 3. So once I hit 3, I'm done, okay? So I'm hoping to get 2x squared minus 5x plus 4. So what's negative x squared and positive 3x squared?
2x squared.
Good. Negative 5x goes in the middle, it looks like. And then 3 plus 1 is what?
4.
This is total S-back type stuff. Did that one work?
Yes.
Yes, so that one we get to keep. All right. What's 2x plus x squared?
3x.
Do I need to keep going on that one?
No.
That one's done. Okay. 8x squared minus 6x squared.
2x.
All right, so we're going to keep going on that one. Negative 2x and negative 3x. It's looking good. What's 2 plus 2?
4.
4. Did that one work? Yep, so that one's good. All right, 6x squared minus 4x squared.
2x squared.
Good. 2x minus 3x.
Negative minus 1.
Does that one work?
No.
Do I really have to do the last one? It should be the answer, right? Because it said 3, but I am going to check it. Okay, so what's x squared plus x squared?
2x squared.
Good. Negative 4x and negative x.
Negative 5x.
And then 8 and negative 4.
Positive 4.
Did that one work? Yeah. So that was our tricky way of getting you to do 3 problems instead of just 1. All right, that was pretty nasty, but I picked it because it was very, very similar to something you would see on the SBAC. It was a good question for that. Yes, Lauren.
Would you have to show work for this one? Because how I did this one is I just kind of looked at it and basically what they
If you don't show work, that's fine. As long as you get the answer right, I'm not necessarily grading the work. I'm only giving you the extra 5 points. So if you don't write any work down, then you don't get those extra 5 points. Okay, so those are like kind of a bonus on the test. If you at least like wrote out this A, and you wouldn't have to necessarily write the problem. If you wrote A and you wrote down what you got as you're thinking about it in your head, that would be enough for me. Okay, because I didn't leave you a whole lot of space to do that problem. Okay. All right, Judy has asked to solve a quadratic equation. Okay, so here's her quadratic equation. Her work is shown below. Based on her work, she says her answer is this. Okay, so let's go through and see if Judy is correct. Okay, because it tells us she's not, right? Unfortunately, she's incorrect. Explain the flaw in her reasoning. I didn't give you part A in the homework because the way it was set up, but it will be there to answer on the test. So you're going to type your answer why she's wrong in the computer. Okay, so it's a sentence. All right, so let's look at this first one. Let's see. Negative b, do we agree with her there? Okay, b squared, do we agree with her there? All right, minus 4a, do we agree with her a?
Yeah.
Do we agree with her c?
Yes.
Times, or all over 2 times a, do we agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so she's good there. Let's look at the next line. It looks like she's got 16 and positive 96. Do we agree with that?
No.
What's wrong?
She didn't know negative times a negative times a negative equals negative.
Yes. Okay, so that sign right there is incorrect. Okay, so we would say that for part A, and you would label this in the computer, part A, Judy incorrectly multiplied, and you can put it in your own words, multiplied negative 4 times negative 2 times negative 12. She made it positive, right? Made it positive instead of negative. Negative. And I know as long as you're explaining it in your own words is fine. Okay? I know that my sentence might not even be a proper sentence. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to fix it, right? It says determine the correct solution. So we already know that the mistake is right here, right? So let's rewrite it from that line. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus square root of 16 minus 96 over negative 4. All right. What's 16 minus 96, everybody? Negative 80. Are we all okay with that?
Yes.
All right, so let's keep going from there. Negative 4 plus or minus. I need to, when I see a negative, what do I do? Under radical, I do what? Pluck an I out. Okay, biggest square number that goes into 80.
44.
Is there anything bigger than 4 that goes into 80? You all have a calculator in front of you. Do 80 divided by... Does 16 work?
Yes.
How many times?
4. 5.
5. Okay, so let's check this out. I'm going to actually put my work up here. I need a little bit of space. So negative 4 plus or minus, we have, what's the square root of 16? 4i squared root of 5 over negative 4. And then this is one we'd probably split up into in 2 fractions. Plus or minus 4i squared root of 5 over negative 4. What's this going to reduce to here? 1. And then this piece here, remember the plus minus is just going to stay plus minus. The negative will go away. I squared root of 5 or square root of 5i, your choice. Okay. That's the final answer that is corrected. So you got half your points for part A and half your points for part B. So this is worth 25, so make sure you explain it well, and this is worth 25. Okay? The good news is I didn't split it into 2 problems and give you a double whammy on that one. Okay? I don't want to do that. All right. We good with 11? Only got 8 more left. All right. This is a good one, isn't it? This one shouldn't be a problem. What are we going to do with that negative? Distribute it. So we've got 4i minus 3 minus 6 plus 7i. All right. The number part, the real part should go up front. So it's negative 3 and negative 9. I'm sorry, negative 3 and negative 6.
Negative 9.
Negative 9. 4i plus 7i is?
11.
11i, so it should have been the first one there. All right, make sure I'm not going too fast. Make sure you have it written down correctly. Okay. All right. What is the product? So we have to do what on this one? Not just multiply. Not just distribute. We have to FOIL, right? It is distributing. It's just got a special name. It's FOILing. So what is 3 times 5? 15. 3 times 2i. 6i. Good. Negative 4i times 5.
Negative 29.
Good. Negative 4i times positive 2i.
Positive 8.
Negative 8 what?
Squared.
I squared, better known as
Positive
positive 8. So what's 15 plus 8?
23.
23. 6i and negative 20i.
Negative 14.
So it should be that third one. Okay. What is the product? What does that mean I'm going to do with these two things? We're going to multiply. And I'm not sure if we saw the double letter, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal for us, okay? So let's see what happens with the double letter. So again, we're going to use good old FOIL. Okay, so what is 3a times 5a? What could I eliminate right now? What are your answers?
C.
C is gone, right? All right, now we're going to do the outside. So 3a times negative 3b would be what?
Negative 9 AB.
Negative 9ab. Good. In the middle, negative 3b times 5a is? Negative 15. What goes after it?
AB.
Then our lasts. Negative 3b times negative 3b is what?
Negative 15.
Positive.
15.
What happened? I wrote down something wrong, didn't I? This should be a 5, not a 3. Okay, 5b, negative 5b times negative 3b is?
Negative
15B.
15b
Squared.
squared. So looking at all of my ends, they're all the same. Oh, it's not this one, right? Because that one says negative. All right, so we got to look at it's either 16 or 34. So negative 9 and negative 15 ends up being what?
Negative 25. Yeah.
It's which one?
You changed it. You changed it to 25.
Negative 25. Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what is negative 9ab and negative 25ab? Negative 34ab plus 15b squared. So it's definitely answer choice B. Okay. We good with 14? All right. All this thing here is saying is that make sure you know that I is I squared is equal to what?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. I cubed is equal to?
Negative I.
And I to the fourth is equal to? That's all that means when you see that, okay? What are we supposed to do to this thing?
Divide 13 by 4.
By 4, and what are we looking for? The remainder. Good. So 4 goes into 13 how many times?
3.
3. We multiply that out. What's our remainder?
1.
1. So this is the same as I to the first or just
I.
I. What if I had had remainder 3? What would we have written down?
1.
Negative I. Okay. What if I had remainder 2? What would we have written down? Negative 1. What if remainder was 0? Just 1. Okay. It could be any of those on the test. So fair warning is it could be any of them. Make sure you understand that pattern, right? And you know that pattern. So I'd study that pattern tonight. All right. What are we going to have to do to multiply this one out? What was the technique I showed you? Yeah, get out the stupid box. Okay. All right, so we've got 5x squared minus x minus 7 across the top and 3x minus 9 on the side. Again, it just helps us keep our work organized. If you like the rainbow method, use the rainbow distributive method, whatever. 3x times times 5x squared.
15x cubed.
Which it better be, look at all the answer choices, right? What's the last number better be?
63.
It better be 63, right? So all that really matters is the middle. If you were running out of time on the test and you noticed that, do you even need to do the ends? No, just do the middle boxes, right? All right, so what's 3x times negative x?
Negative 3x.
Good. 3x times negative 3x squared. 3x times negative 7 is? Good. 5x squared times negative 9.
Negative 45x squared.
Good. Negative 9 times negative x. 9x. Okay, and typically it's the diagonals where the like terms are. So we've got 15x cubed. What's negative 45 and negative 3? Negative 48x squared. So it's not this one and not this one. All right, 9 and negative 21.
Negative 12x.
So it's the last one.
So you just combine like terms diagonal.
Yep. But make sure they actually match. Make sure it's a squared with a squared and an x with an x. Okay. All right. Which of the following it doesn't get much easier than this? When you see a negative under a radical, what do we do? Pluck your eyes out. What's a square root of 9?
3.
It's not meant to be hard. Okay? Some of the questions are harder and longer, right? I don't do that to every question, so that way you get some points are really easy to get and some are not as easy. Every question is weighted the same way though. Everything is worth 50 points. So the easy ones are 50 and the hard ones are 50. Yes, Lauren?
Did we get a calculator on the test?
Yes, you can have a calculator on the test. Okay? So you can use the class set, that's fine. All right? So if the numbers get a little bit bigger, is it going to be okay? You have a calculator. All right? Okay, Matthew is solving the equation by completing the square. What number should be added to both sides of the equation to complete the square? So if it was me, I would write this down with my blanks in there. Okay? And I'd start doing my cheating factoring. So what do we need to do to that 18?
Divided by 2.
What do you get? Negative 9. Well, that's sort of an answer, right? But that's not the right answer. All right, what do I have to do to the negative 9? Square, you get 81. So my answer is the last. Again, is that one supposed to be really hard? No, that's supposed to be one of the easy ones. Okay? All right. Let's look at 19 here. Okay? So this one says divide. I know we didn't see instructions that said divide, but that's the way it came up when I was pulling the smarter balance type problems. All it means is to get rid of that I in the denominator. Okay? So we have to multiply by the what? What is that funny name we learned? It's not reciprocal.
Starts with the C.
It does start with a C, you're right.
Constant.
Conjugate, good. What is the conjugate?
11 minus 2i.
You have to change the sign in the middle to get the conjugate. Okay? So we change the sign in the middle. I'm going to distribute, look at the numerators. I'm going to distribute the 9, right? So 99 minus what?
18.
18i. All right, so it definitely looks like this one's out and this one's out. All right, on the bottom, the trick is, do I have to do all of FOIL? What do we have to do?
Front and last.
First and last only. So it's 11 times 11.
121.
Good. 2i times negative 2i is negative what?
4i squared.
Better known as
4.
4. So 99 minus 18i over what?
121.
125. Okay. So that's it. We should all now have our study guides complete. Okay. And again, remember, if you want the homework points, it needs to be written out in your notebook. Okay. Here's what I want you to do next. Okay, because we do have a few minutes. So I want you to flip to the next page, and just somewhere where you have a blank piece of paper. Okay?